This is a video of Steve Jobs giving a speech in 1985.
Make a tool of a new kind, of an interactive kind.
And in this video, Steve Jobs is doing something extraordinary. Listen carefully.
And so my hope is someday, when the next Aristotle is alive, we can capture the underlying worldview of that Aristotle in a computer.
35 years before the launch of ChatGPT, Steve Jobs is predicting the rise of artificial intelligence.
And someday, some student will be able to not only read the words Aristotle wrote, but ask Aristotle a question.
The weird thing is, this isn't the first time Steve was able to do this. In this video, he talks about the iTunes Store years before it was made, and in this one, he does the exact same thing with the MacBook. But how exactly was Steve able to do this, and why was it the key factor that made him so great?
I think about a year, 2, 3 down the road.
And we're about 10 to 15 years away of solving the problems of hooking them together in the home. People never ask, and that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them.
It's important to start at the very beginning here, so let's go back to the days where Steve and Woz created the first ever Apple computer.
You know what it's capable of with the right components, which you sell.
An original Apple I, one of the few remaining in the world.
He did this in his parents' garage, by the way, but that's beside the point. The point is that the Apple I was only the beginning. It was a functioning computer, but that was about it. After the Apple I, Steve wanted to create a computer that just the ordinary person could use, which led him to creating the Apple II, a computer that everyone could learn to use.
The revolutionary Apple II.
But he didn't stop there. He wanted a computer that any single person could just take out of the box and begin using immediately, which led him to creating the Macintosh.
Hello, I am Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bag.
This was a computer with a graphic interface and a mouse, which redefined the way humans interacted with machines. The point that I'm trying to get at here is that Steve, from the very beginning, knew exactly where the computer industry was always headed.
And that we can fashion tools that amplify these inherent abilities that we have to spectacular magnitudes.
He knew from the moment he made the Apple I that the computer was not just something for computer nerds or computer hobbyists, but it was something that the ordinary person would have in their house and use on a daily basis.
A computer has always been a bicycle of the mind.
He wasn't just part of the computer revolution, but he was one of the people leading it.
I think we're just at the early stages of this tool.
Let's fast forward a couple decades now. Steve now has the Apple headquarters, and this place is huge, and it has a huge field where people can walk around and really explore their creativity. And Steve sees people walking around listening to music on their Walkmans. You see, back in the day, people carried around this big, clunky device that could play CDs, and people pirated music illegally onto those CDs and walked around with them. This was really the time where the entire music industry was struggling to adapt to the digital age. But once again, Steve didn't see it this way. He saw a world where people could hold 1,000 songs in their pocket, where there was one easy, simple to use platform where people could download songs one by one legally.
Boom. That's iPod. I happen to have one right here in my pocket now. This amazing little device holds 1,000 songs.
This is what Steve Jobs accomplished with the iPod and with iTunes.
There it is, right there.
All that's going to go on the web and more. Billions and billions soon.
Steve Jobs didn't just change a product, but he changed an industry, another industry. And so once again, we come back to this video.
Through the miracle of the printed page, I can at least read what Aristotle wrote without an intermediary.
This video of Steve Jobs predicting the exact product that ChatGPT is today.
And that is, of course, the foundation upon which our Western civilization is built.
Now, obviously, he's not talking about ChatGPT exactly, but he's pretty much describing the essence of the product, and most importantly, how humans will be able to interact with that product. This is the same thing he did with the graphics user interface and the mouse. But this description of reality with AI is something that no one could have possibly known back in 1985. This description where you capture the essence of a human with AI and you're able to ask it questions and have conversations with it. And the thing is that this world just keeps turning more and more into that direction of Steve Jobs' prediction. So once again, I ask the question, how? How was he able to do this? And I think the one thing that gave him this ability to see the future in a way, was his vision. Okay, so what exactly is this vision? Because I don't want to confuse this with the type of vision where you have this big dream of your life type of way. Vision is the ability to see something that isn't quite there yet. It's the ability to have a clear mental picture of a future that no one else can see, but that guides your actions as you move about the world. Here's an example. Imagine the first ever humans walking around the earth. Suddenly, these humans come across a rock. No one thinks anything of it, but one human sees more than a rock. He sees a weapon. And so he grabs this rock and he begins to sharpen it. And he sharpens it so much to the point where the rock becomes a weapon. And so suddenly the rest of the group begins to see what the one person saw before. Where everyone else saw a rock, this single human saw a weapon. And this single human had a vision which guided his actions, which led him to change the entire course of humanity. This human is Steve Jobs. Because this is exactly what Steve Jobs did with the music industry or the computer industry, and what he might have done with artificial intelligence had he had more time.
Do you know who Alexander the Great's tutor was for about 14 years? You know, Aristotle. And I read this, I became immensely jealous.
Vision is what allows us to be so much more advanced than any other species, and it's the driving factor behind innovation. True innovation, at least. But the important thing for us to know is that every great person in history had it. Where people only saw the need for horses, Henry Ford saw a world where everyone traveled in a car. Where people accepted candles as the standard for lighting, Thomas Edison saw a world illuminated by electricity. And where people saw reusable rockets as a pipe dream, Elon managed to make them not only reusable, but also affordable. These people with vision are the people that change the world. The people who innovate and create and inspire and who build the future for the rest of us. And it's because they can see it. They've been given this gift in a way to see the future.
It's one small step for man.
Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who
One
do.
giant leap for mankind.
Okay, I'm probably way too far ahead of myself here. Let's think a bit more actionable. It's great that these people were able to change the world, but let's talk about the principle of vision and how we can really apply it in our own lives, because everyone can in some way. And that's sort of the whole point of these people, to learn from them, to learn from history, and to learn from their successes and failures so that we can do better.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is.
Okay, let's do it. I want you to think of everything that you know as this little box right here. This is your world. All of your beliefs, all of your routine actions, all of your friends, everything.
Your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much.
And then suddenly comes this new box. This new box is your surrounding world, and it's everything that you think is possible, but not yet realized. This could be everyone accepting AI into their lives, or driving electric cars, or even small things in your day-to-day like cleaning up your schedule to be more productive. Most people are satisfied with these two boxes. It's everything that is and everything that could be. The problem is that the second box isn't real, because anything could be.
Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact.
And so the second box suddenly becomes an infinite realm of possibility.
And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
So if the second section is infinite, the question becomes, why don't more people have vision? Well, it's because when you stray too far into the unknown, into the infinite realm of possibility, you begin to be labeled. You're obsessed, you're crazy, you're unrealistic. Yeah, well, you know what else is unrealistic? The freaking MacBook, or the iPod, or the iTunes, or cars, or planes, or, I mean, did you see the rocket booster that Elon caught the other day? It's just, oh, these are things that are impossible and we're doing them. So let's say you are able to stray into the unknown, into this infinite realm of possibilities. What do you do then? Well, the next step is taking action in the real world.
Oh, most people never ask, and that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them.
You see, when you begin to stray from that little box, there begins to be friction with your life. There is friction because the world you're living in doesn't exist yet. It's essentially a wave potential, and so it clashes with reality. The one way to solve this is simply by taking action. When Steve Jobs was making the Macintosh computer, very few people believed in him. Even his own board at Apple was losing faith in him because of the disaster of the Lisa. But what he simply did was hide in this new world that wasn't there yet and just kept on building. In the weeks leading up to the Macintosh presentation, Steve was living in a world that wasn't there yet. A reality that wasn't real because the Macintosh wasn't real yet. And the only thing that was merging the two worlds together, the world with the Macintosh and the world without the Macintosh, was this work that Steve Jobs was putting into it. It's the action that was put towards creating it. And then suddenly,
all of the images you are about to see on the large screen will be generated by what's in that bag.
and just like that, you're not crazy anymore. You're not unrealistic anymore. As humanity's little box begins to expand, you become, ironically, a genius. A hero for some even, and people just go back to their everyday lives. The friction stops. What is that quote? I think it's Elon that says, every good idea is crazy until it's not. This is what every great person in history has gone through for thousands and thousands of years, and I can't help but think that this pattern will only continue into the future. Steve Jobs saw a world that no one else could see, and guided by his vision, he was able to bring that world into reality. But it all started with that vision of a world where everyone had a computer, the vision where everyone had an iPod, and the vision where everyone could talk to an artificial robot. That same vision is exactly where humanity is at today.
That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching. This one was so much fun to make. Steve Jobs is one of my heroes, and especially the thought process behind this one is very interesting. He's a very interesting person to study. If you want to support the channel and its mission to study history's greatest people, please consider subscribing. And if you want to support even further, my Patreon link will be in the bio. So yeah, after that, that's all I have for you guys. I will see you in the next one. See ya. Did I say bio? I meant description. It'll be in the description. Okay, see ya. Bye.